G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists do what they do.
Well, welcome back to Colour in Your Life, guys. Well, we are in Christchurch in New Zealand today and with a very talented lady, Vivienne Bashford.
How do you do?
Thanks for being on the show. Now, Vivienne's got an extensive history working with clay and glass and porcelain,
Yes.
a whole bunch of different things. And when you basically started out as a young woman, young girl, sort of had a bit of a traumatic start in life, didn't you, with what your dad was doing with one of the ship strikes that was going on here?
It's 1951 strike.
1951, and basically from there, you it literally ended up starting to get involved in art when you were about 12.
That's right, yes.
Correct?
Yes, with Cliff Whiting.
That's correct, and Kath Brown, is that right?
Yes, Keith Brown.
Yeah.
They took us to a camp at Stoke and Nelson, 2 classes, and we lived slept like a marae on palliasses. We learnt about Maori weaving, we learnt geology.
You've got a history of understanding the Maori culture.
Yes.
And what they do as well in regards to, for a start, what we're going to do today, which is called a mere. Mere, is that correct?
Yes.
And traditionally it's one of the large jade stones.
Yes.
That you have around here, or in the South Island, because the people in the north come from there to go to the south. That's what some of the big fights were all about, wasn't it?
That's right, yes.
But you've actually had yours specially made, and you do reverse painting on glass, and we'll show you some amazing pieces as we go along today. But what do we actually do, and what are these substances here in regards to what we're going to put on this particular glass here?
My paints are mineral oxides. I use them in powder form and mix them usually for 30 minutes
Yes.
with a few drops of glycerine. And then when that's added, I put them onto my glass sheet, and when they're dry, I add a few drops of water and work from there. During the firing process, that paint fuses into or onto the glass.
Okay. They're fascinating. And you, as a young woman, were working for A.R. Kingsford and Sons.
That's
and
right.
they actually did photographic plates in those days, and you were part of the retouching process with that.
Yes, I didn't retouch the glass plates, but I did some retouching on negatives.
Yeah.
And A.R. Kingsford himself used the glass plates.
And sort of hence here we go through history.
Yes.
And you're painting on all of these glass panels these days, which is really quite fascinating. I'm going to get out of shot as I normally do, and we're going to let Vivienne take over the process and explain to us how she does this and what she does. And then as we go along, we're going to screen up some of her other amazing pieces as well. So I'll get out of you, okay? Okay, Vivienne, how do we start this mere?
I clean it with alcohol, then rub the glass dry, and then work on the detail of the painting, ready and fill it in later.
So you've actually sketched, it's obviously a lizard that we've got there.
Yes, a gecko.
A gecko, and then place it underneath and then start to work on top of that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's fire away then, as they say.
Thank you. So I use this nice pointy scroller brush and run my hand down. I just put the outline through
Yes.
with my sketch before I start painting, because that will sink into the glass quicker and give a highlight when it's painted after firing. The highlights have to be all applied first because you're painting the glass in reverse.
Yes.
The correct side is, after it's fired, is shiny, and the painted side is got a slight texture to it.
Now the Maoris actually use these, or this shape, with it's called nephrite jade. It's punamu, is that correct?
Punamu,
Punamu.
yes.
And they use those in ceremonies, and you were telling me before that they were used to chop people's heads off as well.
They were a battle thing as well.
Yeah.
But we have a tradition of honouring people by giving them a Mary when they need help.
Yes.
And one of the stories that I like that encouraged me to produce the glass Marys and to tell a story is Dame Fina Cooper
Yes.
presented Sir Peter Blake, who was the captain of the America's winning Cup team.
Yes.
Because he was nervous of speaking, she said, take this, hold it and stroke it while you're talking, and that will help your nerves or make it easier for you. And to me, there are so many people that need help. I just thought it was an amazing message to give to society.
And it's actually quite a beautiful stone to touch as well, isn't it?
They are.
Yeah.
They can be quite warm and they can be quite cold.
Yeah.
The stone comes from the South Island,
Yes.
and the Maoris in the early days used to come all the way down in their boats, canoes, and harvest the stone and take it back up and shape them into Maoris. But now they're used as a peaceful message, not as a war message.
So you've also got, we'll go through some of the beautiful pieces that you've created. You've got one here called Canterbury Earthquake, which looks quite spectacular, and it's obviously telling a story of what happened when the earthquake came through.
It's Canterbury Earthquake Dance. What happened was in the February the 11th earthquake, I had turned my kiln off 15 minutes before. The temperature would have been round about 650 degrees Celsius. As a consequence, all the glasses twisted, and one pair even wrapped themselves together. And I produced the sculptures, 2 sculptures from this, using recycled timber as well.
Yes, which is what you do. You sort of take all mediums, don't you, and blend them together to form your sculptures.
Yes, I do. I like to have a message, story or reason behind what I'm doing as well.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Canterbury Rakal Braided River.
Oh, the Rakal.
Rakal Braided River.
Yes, the Rakal River comes from mountain to the sea.
Yes.
When we have a big snow, it takes about 40 years to get from the mountain to the sea. So if we have drought years, it takes a long time for the land to settle down again.
And you were saying you've actually got a dagger brush in your hand at the moment.
Yes, I call it a sword liner.
The sword liner.
Yes.
You were saying before that the green paint that you've got there, because of the minerals within the green paint, once it's fired, it actually turns orange instead of green.
It does. It depends on the glass. It depends on the country of origin and the thickness.
You've actually done some quite large pieces. Even if the studio that we're in at the moment, if you look at it, your doors, or even the doors behind you and us, is that they are a beautiful mountain scene with a lake. So that's what you call real dedication to the studio door, without a doubt.
That's is furnace glass, and I used to spend a bit of time in the Mackenzie country, and the lake is Lake Pukaki, and it's called the headwaters of Lake Pukaki.
Okay.
I've done a few small works too, but it's my memory time.
Yeah, I mean the whole side of the house with these glass doors has all of these beautiful pictorials on glass in them, and they look just fascinating. Okay, so where are we up to now?
I've just blocked in a Gecko, and I'm just deepening some of the colour. It's got a lot of green in it and a lot of goldy yellow. So I'm just deepening some of the shadows and lights.
Now, the Maori word for this land, New Zealand, is Aotearoa.
Aotearoa.
Aotearoa, which actually means the land of the long white cloud.
That's right, yes. And my love of mountains.
Yes, obviously it's such a beautiful place.
Land of the long white cloud.
But the national emblem, I suppose you could say, which is on aeroplanes and rugby league football players, is the silver fern. And you've got a piece here called Kiwi Summer and Silver Fern, and you actually use platinum to actually paint these silver ferns, is that correct?
Yes, I do. I like using platinum. It's fairly stable. If you used silver, that would change colour, probably go dull or a browny colour, and the platinum likes the heat with it during the fusing process. So I'm just going to wipe out a wee bit for the eye.
So how do you actually do that?
I've got a rubber wipeout tool. It's just a piece of rubber like a pencil, and I use it a lot. It gives good highlights.
And it pulls out the paint, does it?
Yes, yes. You can put a background on and use this instead of a pencil and draw straight onto the work.
Okay.
It's a technique that I used a lot when I was China painting. China painting, I call myself an anglaise artist. I'm not really a China painter.
Right. But you've done China painting and glasses and clay carving and window and door panels and now your own murets as well.
Yes.
It's a pretty fascinating journey. Now, speaking of the silver ferns before, I mean, I think you're probably starting to pop some of them in there as well, which is a pretty iconic plant right across New Zealand, is that you've also done a series of round paintings inside ships' portholes.
Yes.
That's quite fascinating. And once again, the silver fern is very prominent in a lot of this work. They're quite fascinating pieces. You don't often see, in fact, to be honest with you, it's the first time I've ever seen anybody paint inside the porthole of a ship. It's quite fascinating.
Silver fern is really about integrity, honesty, and keep trying to achieve. People who are successful are given awards with silver ferns, but it's just as important. Its message is to keep trying to achieve your goals, not to give up. And the panga fern is green at some times of the year and brown underneath, but as it ages you can get a silvery light through to it. It's almost white. I'm just going over this gecko with a bit of fern that will show up in the firing.
Yes. And will that fern, that colour that you're using now, will that change colour at all or stay the same?
This won't, but the limey colour may. It depends on the country of origin of the glass, the thickness, and it can turn a bright orange or it will go a nice golden green.
See, we've got another one here that you've done of the mere, which is the Lochmara golden gecko and friends.
The gecko at Lochmara is a conservation project that they have, and it's quite magical. I don't know, I suspect that it might be fairly unique to the area, but I'm not sure. But I always wanted a gecko when I was a child. I thought it would be a lovely pet and I could keep it in my pocket and take it to school.
Oh, right. And since then you found out that?
I don't think that I would like to keep it in my pocket. But they're very clever little things.
Yeah, they sure are. Now, when you say firing, you're obviously going to fire this.
Yes.
Once it's finished. What temperature does it actually get to in the kiln?
It depends on what I'm fusing, but average 650, 680 degrees Celsius is the average temperature.
It's pretty hot.
Yes, although if I'm wanting it hotter, I am known to go up to 1300.
Wow. And do you put a number of layers of colour on, or just the one?
No, I just do the one and the one firing most glass. A few varieties of glass will take more, but unless you know the country of origin, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah, you were saying that it does vary across the world from glass to pigment as well.
Yes, depends on what oxides are in the silica sand, whether they've got lead or iron or what is how it's going to result.
And part of your repertoire as well is that you really do these fascinating sculptures. You've got one called Mountain, Sea and Sky, which also has a Matthey in the middle as well. Can you explain that to me?
Yes, that's a reminder to people. It's our responsibility to look after our children and teach them to look after the environment as well. So with that work I created little sort of buds with children's faces which sit on the flax leaves, which is the strongest plant that we have in New Zealand.
Yes.
Then the aircraft aluminium is the strength of the adults, and the message is to look after the land.
There you go. It's a beautiful piece of work. And you've got a triptych here. It's quite a large one. It's called Kiwi Summer Holiday. It's actually hinged in the middle. These glass panels are quite heavy, some of them, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are built to go into buildings. Kiwi Summer Holiday, that focuses around the hours that Kiwis spend with the sea, with their sailing and their swimming and rowing and all sorts of things. That the sea is very important to us.
We're a lot alike, Australians and New Zealanders, when it comes to that, because a lot of us live on the coast.
Yes.
Very close to the water, and spend a lot of time in the water as well.
Yes. I was brought up in Nelson, so when we were children, we used to hire a rowing boat and row over to the island, and some of us would swim part of the way and then have to hold on to the boat because it would be too far.
And what does this one mean, koru and kawai?
They're just plants that are very stable in our natural environment, and it really reflects on the stability of people, of the country, to look after them. And also the kawai regenerates after fire, and I thought after the earthquakes and everything that was really appropriate.
Yeah, you've got another one here of the silver fern, obviously a very popular plant. And once again you've used the platinum on the background and the shape of the golden mean or the Fibonacci sequence in those little swirls as they go around. It's quite interesting.
Yes, the koru is the bud forms of the silver fern. To me it means new life, really, or new opportunity.
And there's a piece that you've done that I think includes your daughter as well, Sarah Jane, and it's called Young Women of Two Centuries.
Yes, she was born in the 70s and of course became a young woman in the early 2000s and has done a lot with her life.
And your lovely son is a 5-star chef.
Heath, yes, he is.
It's amazing.
Yes, he's working in a vineyard now and enjoying it, having worked overseas and big restaurants. He's just enjoying having a bit of country life.
Yes. So if people wanted to get in touch with you to talk about possibly commissions or workshops or just sales of your amazing pieces, you can go to artscanterbury.org.nz and just type in Vivienne Bashford and you'll be able to find Vivienne's work in there as well. So a great website that promotes all of the artists around the Canterbury area. So where are we up to at the moment, Vivienne? What are we doing?
I'm just wiping out some of the colour to give highlights.
Okay.
And that's a wee bit like when you're touching up photographs, because I work everything back to front. I highlights go in now, which when it's been through the kiln, the paint will marry together and give you depth.
And you have won quite a few awards in the process of going through your career as well. You've been doing this for quite some time now, but some fantastic accolades have been given to you along your journey.
Yes, I have only recently been nominated or won awards, because I've always avoided entering competitions, but I've had some amazing challenges which I've been able to take out. They've been community-based, whether telling the stories in glass and helping other people as well. Yes, and 97 Festival of Flowers in Christchurch. I was the artist for the cathedral, where they had the main flower arrangements right through the Christchurch Cathedral. So I focused on the settlement of Christchurch through the Christian churches and the farming community. The early settlers, it was their main place. Painted different churches around the Canterbury area really. And I'm just going to sign my name. Okay. And then I'll turn it over. I just wipe the paint off. So there you go. I don't very often date things because I don't always finish them straight away. Well done. So that just... And if that's turned over, we see the reverse side of what you've just been doing. Just slip that out of the road. Yep. And wow, look at that. That looks fantastic. Thank you so much for having us in your studio today, Vivienne. That's it's been right. An absolute pleasure. I mean, very unusual to see what you do. Reverse glass painting. I mean, many things you've done, china painting, clay carving, doing window and door panels. It's just amazing. But thank you so much for having us here. That's a pleasure. And the windows are done the same way, back to front. That's amazing. Yes. So, thank you for having me. Okay, another fantastic day. Vivienne, thank you so much for having us in your studio. That was just amazing. Multi-talented lady that obviously works on a number of different platforms as far as creativity is concerned. Just wonderful to be here. Now, your website, if people want to come and see you, they can go to artscanterbury.org.nz and just put in Vivienne's name, Vivienne Bashford, and you'll be able to find out what she's doing in there as well. And you can come and see us at colorinyourlife.com.au and all of our social networking platforms. We're having a great time in Christchurch. Fantastic to be in your studio. Thank you. That was amazing to see what you did. And remember, guys, until we see you again, make sure you put some colour in your life. See you next time. Bye now. Bye.